Hey guys, welcome back. So, last night I saw, again, Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. First showing, December 19th, 6 p.m. Admit 1, TLC, Chinese Theater, IMAX. This is a little deceptive because I did see the first showing at 6 o'clock yesterday. However, I did not see it at the TLC Chinese Theater, which is where this badge is from. But I was at the TLC Chinese Theater right up until just before they started the movie. So I was there with the other droids doing C-3PO, so people could take photos with the droids, and R2 and BB-8 and Dio, which is kind of awesome to have all the droids together. So I was literally at the Chinese Theater. They gave me all the swag from the Chinese Theater, the posters and stuff from the first showing. They gave me all that stuff. So I got it all here. And I technically saw it at the same time, but I saw it in North Hollywood instead of in Hollywood. But that's besides the point. But anyway, I wanted to talk about this again. Got home last night all like, I gotta talk about this. And talked on the phone for like 90 minutes with a friend about the movie because he had seen it for the first time last night. I saw it for my second time last night. My phone was getting low when I'm recording this with my phone, so I put it on the charger and I sat down. I'll start my video when it's done. And then I fell asleep. I woke up this morning. I'm wearing the same clothes I was wearing last night because I'm homeless. Almost. So anyway, let's get to the point, guys. So second viewing. What do I think about it? So on my first viewing, I'll go back to that because I liked it. My first viewing, I really liked the movie, and there were some issues I had, and I talk about it in my last video. I discussed some spoilers that were either some things that I had questions on, I didn't understand, or moments that were like high impact to me. I talked about in spoiler, and some things that I maybe didn't like or was like on the fence about. I talk about in spoiler review, which is like a long video, and I didn't even get into so much stuff. This movie is incredibly dense with information. There are so many things happening in this film, and on my first viewing, it was going by so fast that I felt like I was like hanging on, and I understood what was going on almost the entire time. Like, I didn't really ever get lost, like really lost, but there were a couple moments where stuff would happen and I would have missed a little element, and I was like, okay, and just keep going. And I figured it was fine. Now, I had a very similar experience with The Force Awakens. When J.J. Abrams' first Star Wars movie, I had a very similar experience. The first time I felt like it was a little fast, and then the second viewing was way better for me. And that same thing applies here. This second viewing, I actually liked a lot. More than the first viewing. I enjoyed the first viewing. However, like I mentioned, there were some flaws and there was some stuff that was just like maybe too quick and crazy that distracted me a little bit. But on the second viewing, and now that you know how things are going to play out, it makes it way easier to take in what's happening in all the scenes. So I caught so much more stuff in this viewing than I did in the first viewing. That's good, like good things. And I was able to pay attention to more things that I think were important to look at. J.J. Abrams had a crazy task to try to fit all of the stuff into this film that he had to, because it was tricky. The stuff he set up in The Force Awakens, Rian Johnson just disregarded a whole bunch of it. So now he has to come in with like another fresh fresh movie to make. He doesn't have a build up for this third chapter. Basically, I watched what's his name, Chris Stuckman, is that it? Get Stuckmanized. He does movie reviews. I like his reviews a lot, and I feel like his review of The Rise of Skywalker was very similar to what I thought, but he just puts it together better because he's a reviewer. I'm not a reviewer, guys. If you're here for movie reviews, I'm not a movie reviewer. I make stuff all the time. I'm just talking about this because it's something that it's kind of important to me. His take on it was very similar to mine. He enjoyed the movie, and the issues he had were similar. I'm going to put a link in his video so you can watch it. I'm not going to try to reiterate what he says, but I shared his opinion a lot. And I feel like the second viewing of this makes it so much easier to take in. Anyway, the gist of what he's saying, I am going to go back to this. I'm sorry. I'm going to do this one take. You're going to watch me flub a little bit. The thing he said, the main thing I'm going to take from his video was that the Force Awakens set up, was a good intro to set up the trilogy. And then Rian Johnson threw it out and did another movie that was essentially another intro movie. So he had two first movies essentially to start with. Like the Last Jedi didn't really pick up very much from the first movie. It was like, okay, now we're here. And then it reestablishes all this stuff. So now, J.J. Abrams was really forced to race to get all this stuff kind of like squared up. And on second viewing, I noticed how many subtle things he was able to wrap up and put a little bow on that Rian Johnson did that J.J. Abrams corrected for in this movie. I was like, okay, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Like things that I'm not gonna do spoilers. So by the way, guys, if you're watching this, I'm going to avoid spoilers at all costs. If I hint toward anything, I'm gonna do my best to not get into spoilers. If you see me hang up for a moment, like I'm getting a blue screen, it's because I'm trying to figure out how to express something without spoiling anything. And I think some of these pieces are going to become vague and generic. But I talked to a friend of mine right when we got out of the movies last night, whose opinion I super value, and I also wouldn't want to let him down with my opinion. And when I saw it the other day, I told him I really liked it, and he had heard from another person that was at the premiere that they liked it as well, and another person whose opinion he trusts. So I'm like, I hope I'm not telling the wrong thing, because if I let him down, I'll feel bummed, because I feel like we gel pretty much on our movie opinions. So I got out of the movie last night, and there was this text. It's like, hey, you got time to talk? And I was like, yep. And I wrote back, yep. And he's on the East Coast, so it's kind of late for him. The phone rings immediately, and he sounds like he's a little bit down, like bummed. And I was like, oh man, did he not like it? But no, he's just tired. Turned out he really liked it a lot, just as I did. So I'm like, all right, this is another person whose opinion I trust a lot on movies, a lot. And if he ever doesn't like something, he's very good at explaining why. He doesn't just go, oh, I don't like it. He can break it down what it is that he doesn't like very clearly. So I trust his opinion a lot. And we had like a 90-minute talk, pretty much gushing about so much stuff in the movie and how well they did things. With this second viewing, I went into it thinking about between the time I posted my previous video with all the spoilers and the viewing, I watched a ton of review videos, and I would say 85% of the people that I watched review it didn't like it, and they would hate on a lot of moments that I just maybe didn't see the first viewing or didn't agree with or didn't notice that they were bad. So on the second viewing, I was hyper conscious about what those people said, and I tried to look for the moments. Like I think it's Grace Randolph talks about some of the characters, like one of the officer characters, the Imperial officers or the First Order officers, who I thought was awesome. She basically like kind of bashed his performance a little bit, and I loved it. So last night when I watched it, I'm like, maybe he does a thing like where their whole performance can be good, but they'll do one thing to kind of spoil it. And I watched him close, like stared at his whole performance very carefully, analyzing for anything that I thought might be perceived in the wrong way. And I still thought he was awesome. I liked him more. It was, I didn't see anything like that. There's a couple other characters too I've seen people talk about that was like, yeah, I like that. I like the way they handled the like Hux, and I like the way they handled 3PO, which I was super concerned with based on the trailers. They show the trailer and he's got his red eyes, and then they show the toys and that first poster that got released that had like C-3PO had a bandolier and Chewbacca's bowcaster, and I was like, oh no, what are they gonna do here? And being a 3PO fan, again, a gigantic C-3PO fan, I was like, please don't make it awful, and they didn't. 3PO was awesome. It might have been my favorite C3PO performance since the original trilogy, and probably in some ways the closest to A New Hope, which, especially in his physical performance, there were things that he did that were, I don't know if he was doing them on purpose, or if he was just more relaxed, or maybe I don't know. I don't know what it was, but there were things that he did movement wise that he's only done in A New Hope, and I was like, that's amazing. And my friend I talked to on the phone last night caught it as well. He's like, I don't know, did it seem like 3PO did this thing? I'm like, yes, I caught it, and it was awesome. I was freaking stoked on that. Now, I don't know if other people feel that same way, but I loved it. Now, only of all the 3PO stuff, there's only one line that I didn't like, and it was just a quick little throwaway line that didn't really matter. So it wasn't like he was wasn't like a big part. It was just like a little quib that he makes that just didn't seem quite right. But it was, I mean, like boop, like done and gone. Didn't really matter. It was like an unnecessary line. Excuse me. Nose was running. Got drinking coffee. Again, guys, this video, I'm keeping it totally off the cuff. I'm not going to edit this, so if I have to stop and think, I'm trying to not do spoilers. One thing that was pretty crazy is that there were some things that play out in the movie that are really emotional the first time, and you see how they play out, and you're like, oh, okay. And I thought the second time I saw it, it would be like the effect would be gone, and it was actually amplified a little bit. I was like more emotional about stuff on the on the second viewing. I was like, what the hell's wrong with me? Why is this getting me now? I already know what's gonna happen. Why is this bothering me now? And so that was impressive. The acting's super good. The main characters in particular, very, very good. It made everybody awesome. Dude, even freaking Rose Tico, who I was just so annoyed with in the last film, she's totally fine in this. She's totally fine. She's just right along with everybody else. She's grounded. She seems like a serious character. She's doing stuff along with everybody. Awesome. I was like, all right, Kelly Marie Tran has been vindicated here. She seems like an actual trooper along with everybody else, not just like I feel like the Rian Johnson, like some of the characters just seem like they like plucked them out of like the Disney kids show vault. Like, here you go. Hey, I'm my next Disney character. Like those little orphan kids. Oh my God, all of them were like, they look like little kid models that came off. Their hair is like all perfectly trimmed, and they're like just the right amount of dirt on their face. It's like, don't do that. Don't do that. And I feel like J.J. Abrams didn't handle things that way. I go into a lot more in my previous review, but I just wanted to talk about how my second viewing I actually liked this more. And I went through the movie thinking the whole time, like I kept trying to see stuff that I felt cringy about, because people were saying things like, oh, it's cringy. I'm like, I don't see this. And I'm watching it again, actually looking for more of that. And it's like, I'm like, all I kept thinking is like, I could watch this again. I could totally watch this again. Like every 15 minutes, I'd be like, I'm like, I could watch this again. And the movie went by so fast. It's 2.5 hours long, and it was like, we were like getting to the end. I was like, oh my God, is the whole movie done already? This is crazy. It just flies by. There was none of that like Canto Bite, boring nonsense that from the last movie that was so bad. It just goes, and it is super dense. So on the first viewing, it might seem a little overwhelming. It did for me a little bit. It didn't bother me, but it was. I was like, my brain was too full. And the second viewing was like, it went by really, really nice. And I'm sure that's happened when they're making the films. These people are editing all this stuff, and over and over and over, and they look at it, they know what's going to happen. So as they're looking at it, it's just playing nicely for them, but they're not considering that someone's going to see this for the first time and just be like, here's all this stuff. It's just going to be forced into your brain. Deal with it. So yeah, second viewing, I was like, I caught all these things. And J.J. Abrams addresses so much of the weird Rian Johnson stuff in such good ways. Like there's little people are like, oh, they're totally work together, they did all this stuff. No freaking way. There's no way. I don't think there's any way you could see this movie and think that they went into this with any kind of plan. And JJ, it makes maybe slight jabs at Rian Johnson throughout the film, and like he'll comment on stuff that happens in the previous movie. There'll be comments about from characters, and they're just addressed, just so sweet. And I was like, oh, and I didn't catch most of them on the first viewing. The second viewing, I was like, oh, I see what he did there. I see what he did. I see what he just addressed a Rian Johnson kerfuffle in one line, and then done. And it happens multiple times throughout the film. So that's awesome. If you didn't like The Last Jedi and you see this, again, people might come into it like a lot of these reviewers are just, they just hate on it to hate on it. On Star Wars stuff in general, they're like, oh, this is going to be bad. The reviews say this and that. These are the same people, by the way, that if they see a Rotten Tomato score that's low, they're usually like, it's going to be really good. And, if it's like the critic reviews, and I kind of agree. I typically have the exact opposite opinion of the Rotten Tomatoes reviewers. So, when they saw this and the reviews are low, I'm like, those are the Rotten Tomato scores, guys. Those are the ones that you're always saying are wrong. Maybe you should not get so excited about it. Like, don't get excited about a thing to fail. Like, I would want it to do well. If it sucks, it sucks, and I would say so. But it's like, to just be preemptively like, oh, it's going to be so bad. And again, like I mentioned in the last video, I'm not going to get into spoilers, but most of the spoilers that I heard online, because I wasn't hiding from them, were either there's just a little over half of them were actually in the film. They're like, all of our spoilers were in the movie. I'm like, no, they weren't. A lot of the spoilers you guys talked about were not in the movie at all. And the ones that were there didn't play out even close to the way that they described them. And I think when something's, told to you secondhand or you read it on paper, it just misses how it plays out. And some of the parts that even on my first viewing I was kind of on the fence about, I actually liked in this scene at the second time, or either I liked it or it didn't bother me. I'm trying to think of scenes that there's maybe like two or three scenes where it didn't need to be there, but the scene being there wasn't bad at the same time. So if it wasn't there, it may have been a little better, but being there didn't faze me. I'm not going to get into spoilers. Maybe I'll do another one. But anyway, I feel like I enjoyed this a lot more on my second viewing, and I'm actually going to go see this again, probably in IMAX, just because why not? I saw it in 3D last night, which I don't know if I mentioned before, but I enjoyed it in 3D as well. I typically like movies in 3D. I know a lot of people don't, but I do. So whenever it's in a theater in 3D, any movie that comes out in 3D, I'm like, I am going to see this in 3D because I can watch it forever on TV in standard 2D and see how it goes. But 3D, there's something about that experience that's cool. Now I've seen this once in standard and once in 3D. I like them both. 3D is cool. Probably will see an IMAX next, just because different formats while it's in the theater. May as well. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to get into with that. No, I dug it. People are gonna have different opinions. That's fine. I liked it. I will see it again. Let's see. Anything else before I get out of here? Anything to address? I don't think so. I think that's probably good. Leave your comments below what you thought. Please don't put spoilers. Actually, I think I'm going to put the comments on this where I have to review them. So if you comment and it's anything, whatever you comment, you can hate me, say whatever you want. I don't care. I will okay your comment as long as it's not a spoiler. I'm going to try to keep spoilers off of this one. So the comments will be there for approval. Even if you hate me, that's totally fine. You can make fun of me, whatever you want. I will post your comment. Just please don't make spoilers. And that'll be good. Thanks, guys, for stopping by. I will be back soon. Maybe my opinion on this will change in a month, and I will be like, guys, I was so wrong. It's so bad. But the fact that I liked it more the second viewing as opposed to The Last Jedi, where I liked it less every time I saw it, I think is a good sign for this film. So anyway, hopefully you guys had similar responses or similar experiences, I should say. Yeah, similar experiences. It's too early. It's too early. I'm going to go post this, and then I'll see you guys soon. Back with more stuff. Probably not reviews. And yeah, have fun. Bye!